So Chetri, can I start now or we wait?
Yeah, okay, can start.
All right. Okay, let me share my screen first. Hi, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, good. All right. So, hello everyone. Hello fellow organists and pianists. So welcome to another episode of the Methodist School of Music webinars. Today's session is the Introduction to Organ Playing Part 1. And my name is Angela. So I will cover the introduction to the church organ, orientation to the console, different stop families, manual and pedal technique. Yeah. All right, so before we actually orientate you to the organ, here are just some examples of digital organs. So you have 2 manual, 3 manual, and then 5 manual, yeah? Now, most of you church organists, you all will be familiar with 2 or 3 manuals in your own churches and homes. For our pianist friends, pipe organs can have anything from 1 to 7 manuals. So let's take a look. If you're wondering what 6 manual actually look like, here is actually a 6 manual pipe organ console. It's the Wanamaker pipe organ at the Macy's department store in Philadelphia. Yeah, so, and there's also a 7 manual. So let's see, okay? So where is it? It's at the Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. It has 7 manuals. All right, so now I will show you what are not regarded as pipe or digital organs, because in many churches we have these instruments too, but they are not regarded as church organs, okay? These are actually like, you see the clavinova. It produces organ sounds and other instruments too, but it's not an organ. And then you also have the electones, which are basically, they have electronic synthesizers in them that mimics all sorts of orchestra sounds and other instruments with like percussions too. Yeah, so let's go into the orientation of the organ console now. I will go through with you the manuals, the pedals, the expression shoes, stops, couplers, and pistons. Okay, now let's look at the video. You have noticed that many churches have a 2 manual organ. In those cases, the top manual is called the swell, and the bottom is called the grate. For today's demonstration, I will be using a 3 manual organ to orientate you to the different parts of the console. With a 3 manual organ, the top manual is called the swell, the grate is in the middle, and the bottom manual is called the choir or positive. At the bottom, we have a pedal board which spans 2.5 octaves. On the right and left of this organ are what we call the stops. I will tell you more about them later. Couplers on the church organ allow you to combine stops from the different divisions. For example, if there are some stops in the swell, which I would like to add to the grate, pulling the coupler will give me this effect. There are times when an organist needs to change many stops at the same time. This is where pistons come in handy. Some organs have toe studs which perform the same functions as the pistons I've just showed you. Expression shoes allow you to increase and decrease the volume of the stops on the organ. The crescendo shoe is not an expression pedal. Instead, it adds stops as you open it takes away stops as you close it. Okay, so you've just seen the video on the orientation of the organ. Now this is actually a diagram of a typical church organ console. I'm just going to recap a bit because just in case you all didn't catch in the video. So you have the on-off button switch here. Yeah, and then at this row here, this is where you can find your couplers. So your swell to grate, your grate to pedal, and your swell to pedal can all be found here. Now, as in the video, I used a 3 manual to demonstrate, right? So same thing like here, the top manual here, this is your swell, the middle is the grate, and the bottom is the quiet or the positive. All right, and then to the left and to the right of this organ are what you call stops. That's where you can pull out the different stops to create different sounds. And then here, these rows of buttons are your pistons. This where you can pre-register sounds. Yeah, with the same similar action as these pistons are your toe starts. So when you're playing a hymn or any piece and your hands are busy playing and you need to change, if you can't pull out stops fast enough, this is where your pistons come in handy. And if your fingers are not available or your thumb is not available to press the pistons, then that's where you press the toe starts with your feet. Yeah? Okay, so I'll move on to the expression pedals. Here is your expression pedal. The middle is usually the swell. So it controls this top menu, the middle as well here. Some organs only have 2, so just be careful, all right? Then at this right hand here, right pedal here, this is your crescendo shoe. Okay, so this you should not touch it because it actually increases a lot of stops for you without you knowing. Or rather, you can hear it, but you don't know what stops are being pulled. So if you want to have it controlled carefully, don't use that. Yeah, and then in the bottom here is your pedal board. So most organs has about 61 keys, and pedal has about 32. Okay, can I move on? Yeah. All right. Now that you have oriented yourself to the organ, I'll show you how you can position yourself at the organ now. Here, I'll play the video for you first. All right. Your posture at the organ is important. Align your belly button with the middle D or E. Your feet should hang naturally and your toes should cover 1/3 of the black keys. Okay, so positioning at the organ is very important. I'm just going to show you live now how to sit at the organ. So give me a while, let me stop sharing screen. And okay. So when you get on the organ bench, you would want to position yourself in the middle. Yeah, don't hunch. You shouldn't also sit too far back because if you sit too far back, yeah, your feet can't touch the pedal board. And then the other thing that you should not do is to sit too far back and look down at your feet like that. Okay, so always maintain a good posture, which is essential for organ playing. As in the video, position yourself in the middle, so lower manual, D or E, where your belly button is. All right, sit upright, your hands should be relaxed. It should not be outstretched like that, but sit relaxed really. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to place your feet at the pedal too. So just give me a while we okay, so when you get on the organ bench, make sure your feet falls just before the black keys. So in this case, this is brown, but whatever it is, make sure it falls just before it. Yeah. Now, your ball of the feet here. So under your big toe here, it should be placed on the pedal board. Should not be your heel, not all your toes, but really just the big toe. Okay, and then when you're playing toes, make sure that your heel is always in contact with the pedal board. Okay, let me now show you the diagrams of how it looks like with pictures. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so if you see this picture and this is with organ shoes. This is the man organ shoes. This is without shoes, with socks. So I just demonstrated with you to you without shoes, because I think most of you might not have your shoes. Yeah. So this is how it should place for those with shoes, and this without shoes. So heel can be slightly lower in contact with the pedal board. Now, look at this right picture here at the bottom. This is not advisable. It's what you call ballerina toes or chippy toes, because you see the heels are not in contact with the pedal. Yeah, so bear in mind, feet should always be in contact with the pedal board. All right. Okay, I'm going to move on, because now that you have oriented yourself to the organ console and how to sit properly, how to place your hands properly, now I'll introduce to you the 4 families of stops. Yeah. So you have the principals, you have flutes, you have strings, and you have reeds. We shall watch a video on principals first. Let's begin with the principals. Principals, or diapasons, are the fundamental sounds of the organ. Here's what the principal 8 sounds like. Several principals of different pitch levels can be pulled to form a principal chorus. To top it off, a mixture can be added to crown the principal chorus. A mixture is 2 or more octave and fifth sounding ranks of principal pipes. Alright, so here are some examples of your principal stops. You have the principal, the diapason, mont, octave, creston, and geigen. Yeah, so these are what you might find on your organ. Okay, now I'll move on to the flute stops. We'll watch the video first. The next family of stops are the flutes. They imitate various instruments of the flute family. Flutes produce warmer and rounder sounds as compared to the principals. The next family of stops. Alright, so here are some examples of flute stops that you can find in your organ. You have the Gedag, Bodon, roll flute, horse flute, stop diapason, Lieblich, Gedag, and harmonic flute. Okay, now I'll go on to the strings family. The third family of stops are the strings. They are much thinner than principals or flutes. These stops are best used for quiet and meditative accompaniment. For example, during interludes or when there is no congregational singing. In this example that I'm about to play, I'm about to play, I will be using a celeste. A celeste is a string stop tuned slightly sharp or flat, and when combined with another string stop, produces a shimmering effect. Now let's go to this slide. Now, so here are your examples of string stops, which you will find in your organ. You have the viola, the gamba, salisono, viola, violin, gamba, cello, Luciana, and voix celeste. So you heard the celeste just now. All right, now finally the reeds. The final family of stops are the reeds. Among them are the loudest and most exciting stops on the organ. There are two kinds of reeds: solo reeds and chorus reeds. Solo reeds can be used as solo stops on a single manual. Chorus reeds are often loud and add fire and brilliance to a full principal chorus. Okay, so here are examples of reed stops. You have the conopion, and then this is trumpet in different languages depending on your organ. And then you have the deuxième, you have the hautbois, which is your oboe, the tuba, the bassoon, and the contrabombard and the bombard. Now, earlier when I played the principal stops, you would have heard something else, which is the mixtures. Yeah, so mixtures are what you make. So okay, basically, with 8/4/2 principals, and then you add the mixture on the top of it. It's what you call the principal chorus. So that's the basic organ combination you would like to use if you're going to play in church for hymns. Yeah, and then there's also another thing that it was mutations. So mutations are single ranks of pipes tuned to some particular non-octave pitches in the harmonic series. So if let's say it's a principal pipe, it is usually called the 12. Let me show you the next slide. Yeah, the 12. And if it's fluid pipes, it is called the nasal. Okay. So here are your mixtures and here are your mutations. All right, so now that you've got acquainted to the 4 family of stops, I will go into showing you how to play on the organ itself. Before I move on, are there any questions? So if you have any questions, you could type it in the chat box or we'll try and answer you, all right? Okay, so let's get into manual technique. So basically, before I show you the video, unlike piano, the tone of the organ continues at the same intensity for as long as you hold the note down, right? Now, in organ playing, the release of the key is very important. So when the depression and the release are equally important. Now, in this case, your rests are as important too. Because on the organ, once you let go, there's no more sound. Yeah, so just remember release, depression of the keys are very important. Observing rests are as important. So a pure legato is an essential technique in organ playing. So when you release the keys at a precise moment, that's when you depress. Okay, so you only release when you depress the next one, like that. I will show you live later, okay? So there should not be any overlapping or separation of tones. It should be continuous and uninterrupted. I'm going to show you a video of finger legato with the right hand only. Okay, now I'll show you. Hang on. Okay, now I'll show you another video involving both hands, finger legato. All right. Sorry, there's a bit of a, I'm just going to play this for you again. Can you see my screen? Okay, so earlier on was just sustaining one note and changing another. Now we're going to see how to finger legato 2 notes at a time. Right, and another video. It's a different angle. So I showed you the different videos. I'm going to show you live now some techniques of finger legato, which involves finger substitution and finger glissando. So just give me a while while I stop my share screen. Okay. All right, so first you have finger substitution. It involves you changing fingers on a certain note so you can reach other notes or create a better finger legato technique. So I'm going to show you now. I'm going to place my second finger on the next note and I'm going to quickly change it. Okay, how is this useful is that when you're playing, let's say, a big chord, I'm going to play an octave now. And you know, it's difficult to reach, right? So look here. 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1. So the trick is to do it as quickly as possible. Okay, I'm going to show you once more again. 2 1 2 1 2 1. Yeah. Now, is it possible to use other fingers? Yes. I'm going to show you another. Let's do a finger substitution of 3 and 4. 4 3 4 3 4 3. And if I'm going down, I'll use a 2 now, just to give you variations of it. 2 3 2 3 2 3 2 3. So every finger can substitute. Now I'm going to show you what happens with 2 notes, 2 finger substitution. So I'm going to depress 2 and 4 now, and I'm going to do 1 and 3 to take over immediately. Okay, I'll do that once more, a little quicker. So the trick is to change as quickly as possible. Yeah. Notice that when I change, it's together, and when I depress the keys, it is also together. Once more. You can also do it the other way, coming down. So doing a slow one for you. 1 3 2 4 1 3 2 4. I'm gonna speed up. Likewise, you can do it with other fingers too. So what I just did was to change 2 times. First change, second change. So there are a lot of things you can do if you can master this finger substitution technique. Okay, now next I'm going to show you is what you call finger and thumb glissando. What it means is to play 2 notes with 1 finger very quickly. So I'm going to show you from a black key to a white using my thumb. You basically slide in, but be careful not to overhold. Okay, so you can also use another finger. Likewise for your third finger. 4th. Let's try that again. And 5th. Okay, so this is your 1 finger glissando. I'm going to show you now what thumb glissando is. So basically, you just use your thumb, depress the note, tip of the thumb, change to the back. Tip of the thumb, change to the back. So when changing from tip to thumb, hold it down. Lift it up, down. Okay, so I've just showed you finger and finger legato. I'm going to show you pedal techniques now. I'm going to bring it back to the screen first. Okay, let me share my screen again. Right, so we've just done finger substitution and then finger and thumb glissando. Now, pedal technique. Now that you have learned how to play on the manuals, it's almost like you're playing on the piano. So the tricky part now is adding the pedal to feet. Now, pedal technique, with you when you sit on the organ, you need to have both your heels and knees together as much as possible. All right, and then when you place your feet on the notes, I mentioned it earlier, the bottom of your big toes or the ball of the feet should be touching the notes. And likewise, as what we did with the keyboard on the manuals, when you depress the note with one foot, you only release the neck when you depress the next. Now, these are your markings for toes and heels. So using your two legs alone, you can actually play 4 different notes. So your left toe, your left heel, and your right toe and your right heel. Okay, so these 2 markings here are what you usually would want to write down or mark down as your toes markings. This is the 0 or a U would be for your heels. All right, so I'm going to show you the next one. So look here, you can see this upside down V under this note, and this is above. What it means is that this is played with your left toe, and this would be played with your right toe. So bass clef C, E, C, E, C, left on C, right toe on E. And then after that, I'm going to change to left toe on E and right toe on G. When you watch the video, look to see that my heels are together, and then the bottom of my big toe or the ball of the feet is in contact with the pedal board. Okay, I'm going to play the video for you now. Sorry. Okay. Now. Okay. So you just saw just the same notes without much movement. Now I'm going to show you a video moving up the scale. So you will realize that my left heel would push my right heel to reach the next note. So this is an interval of a 3, meaning from C to E or Do to Mi. So it should push and shifts. That's why it's important that your heels should always be together. Especially for intervals 5, 5th and below. Yeah? Let's watch this now. Alright, I'm going to show you the same thing, but at a different angle. this is toes still, but crossing. So crossing of feet. Now when I cross my feet, one feet will have to go behind while the other stays a little forward. So I'm just going to show you now so you can see for yourself what happens, all right? The score is below for you to follow. Okay, so what you just saw was my left feet went behind my right. Okay, so in this way, you can play actually 3 notes just with your 2 toes. I'm just going to continue the video now. Okay, so what happened just now was toe, left toe, right toe, and then went under, and then went across again. So this action, just use your toes, you can play a few notes. Okay, I'm going to move on now to using your heels. So what you've seen so far were all just toes on the pedal with both your left and right. Now you're going to involve your heels. As I said earlier, the upside down V and the V shape are what you use to mark your toes. Now this O and the U will be what you use to mark heels. So in this case, this heel would be for your left. Remember I said at the bottom of the note is for your left. At the top would be for your right. So here would be for your left heel. And then what happens is that if this is being played by left heel, your right toe will play the F sharp, the fa sharp. Okay, I'll play for you the video now. Okay, that was a short video, side view. I'm going to show you the next video. Oh, sorry. Okay, so there's just this video. All right. I've come to the end of this. I'm going to show you once more live usage of your toes and heels, okay? So let me stop share. Okay. Shoes, yeah? Heel, the middle of the heel on the pedal board, ball of the feet on the F sharp. So I can press the F sharp. Okay, let me show you. All right. Okay, so now I've come to the end of the presentation. Are there anyone who wants me to show anything further? You can unmute yourself and ask. Okay, I'm going to show you the mutations and the mixtures now, all right? So let me bring you live. Okay, I'm gonna open my swell box. Now listen to, hang on. Okay, listen to the 8 flute stop on the swell. Swell is the top menu, remember? So swell. I'm gonna play C, D, E, F, G, or rather Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol. Okay, I'm now gonna pull out another stop. I'm gonna pull out the Nazat. Listen to how it sounds. I'm still playing the same C, D, E, F, G, but it sounds different already. All right, now listen to the tears. Still the same C, D, E, F, G. Okay, I will now show you a septian. It's 1 and 1 7. Organ too soft. Let me try that again. All right. Okay, now I'm going to combine everything together. So I'm going to do the 8 flute stop in the swell with the 4 flute, the 2 flute, the nazat, and the tierce, and the septine, which is in my stop here. Can you all hear this? Let me try that again. Okay, it was high pitch. Yeah? I'm gonna play it again and then we'll add stops along the way, all right? So what I just did was to pull out and to push back the 8, 4, 2, nazat, and the tierce. Okay, and so this is the cornet. Cornet made up of flutes, which is your 8 flute, your 4 flute, your 2, your nazat, and your tierce. All right. Okay, are there any other questions?
Angela,
Yes.
somebody asked whether you can play a continuous passage on the pedal board.
Ah, okay.
Sư Thơ.
Okay, I'll play.
À, sao cái này?
Someone has to. I'm just gonna play a one-line melody using all my toes, right? played everything with my toes. And it's quite, you actually have to keep switching over. I'm going to try one now with toes and heels. So that makes from 2 notes to 4, both toes and heels now. So there are 4 different ways I can actually press the note. So it will make it slightly easier.
Angela, we can't hear you.
Something is it?
There was no sound.
No sound.
Your microphone,
Are you on mute?
No, I'm not on mute.
your microphone got cut off.
Okay, let me try once more, okay? The previous one, could you hear with toes only?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me try once more. Can you hear now?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to try once more with toes. Alright, so that was toes and heels with one passage in the pedal. Are there any other questions? Let me look at the chat. Okay, so there's this question, how to practice passage in pedal board which has combination between toes and heels. So I just showed you how to play with toes and heels. Now you have to do your V shape first. So heels together and your knees together. When you play, you should start with your toes first and then incorporate the heels. Now when you play toes, likewise like your on the manuals, make sure it's one after the other to make it continuous. So do the same thing with your pedals. If your pedal toes, you can do the same thing. Then you can add on the heels. Now when you add on heels, likewise, it should detach and release smoothly. Okay, so you can find organ method books. Let me show you my screen. You can find organ method books here, which will have pedal exercises and manual exercises which you can practice. So that I hope that answers your question on how to practice. Yeah. Hi, Melissa. Can mutation be applied when playing the organ? You don't really want to use mutation if there's choir playing. It will sort of like cancel out the choir. But you can use it as a as you know, if you want it to be different. So smaller stops, yeah. So like what Dr. Lin replied, only Nazar. Oh no, wait. I think I replied. Yeah, so you can use it as a solo, but not with the choir. Are there any other questions? Any other questions from anyone? Okay. What combinations can be used in playing hymns? So I think just now I did mention the organ, the basic organ stops for hymn accompaniment, right? Which means your principal 8, your principal 4, your principal 2, and your mixture. This is what you call the principal chorus. Okay? And then if, let's say you have more than one verses, your second verse, you could use 8 and 4. So for softer verses, for you to make it different, second verse, you can change it to 8 principal and 4 principal. And then your last verse, if you want it loud again, you can do it 8/4/2 principals with mixtures, and you can add more reeds. Reeds meaning your trumpets or your oboe or your clarinet. Yeah? Do you use a specific hand to play a specific manual? Okay, so let me show you. So I'm going to show you an example. If you are a pianist, on your normal piano score, you only have 2 staves, right? In this case, you have 3. So your right hand is usually for the top, the left is usually for the bottom here, and then you have an extra one, which is for your feet, both your feet. Okay, this is for normal. This is if you're following pieces, but if you're doing hymns, both hands are on the grate. And remember where your grate is. If there are 3 manuals, it's in the middle. If there are 2 manuals, it's at the bottom. So remember, when you're playing in a hymn, when you're playing in church, playing hymns, both hands on grate, and then your feet. Okay, now if you have an SATB score, let me show you an example. So let's say this score, you have SATB. Okay, so which plays hands and which plays pedal? The soprano, the top, the next one, alto, the tenor, and then let me take out my paper because it's, okay, so SATB, if you're in a choir and you're familiar with SATB, SAT will be played with your hands. The bass, the bottommost, played with your feet. All right. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so if you want to do a solo reed, right? Remember that only your melody plays on the swell. Okay, because if everything plays on the grate, your solo reed will be in your grate, and it's not going to be very nice. Everything becomes very reedy. Remember, right hand or melody on the swell using the reed, and on your grate, the accompaniment, which is everything else that is not the melody, and then followed by your bass notes, which is played by with your feet. Okay, just some organs. You might have a reed in the grate instead. So when that happens, you play one hand or a solo melodic line, solo melody in the grate, and then everything else, the accompaniment on the swell.
This should not off. Then morning 6, 7 o'clock. She wake up in the middle of the night, then
a softer registration. So if you want it for different verses with softer verses, you can play on the swell or choir. Okay, if it's let's say for example, if you have a hymn with 3 verses, the first verse is unison. You want to play it loud, so everything is on the grate. Second verse, if let's say you're going to do maybe SATB or maybe only women or men is singing, they're singing, then you want to move to the swell or choir. So if let's say you have the privilege of having 3 manual, so first one unison on great, and then you have a bit of a contrast, you go to women on swell, so it's softer. And then you want another contrast, you go to the choir or the positive for the men. And then again, last verse, you go back all to great again. And then of course you can add on your couplets. Yeah? Okay. Also bear in mind, I think my colleagues might actually have a webinar on this, but just briefly, remember that if you have to play a hymn, always look at the context of the hymn. Because there are some hymns that are meant for entrance or recessional, are meant to be loud. And then of course your offertory, your communion and thanksgiving, it should not overpower the entrance and the recessional. So make sure to see the text, make sure to see when you are using the particular hymn, and then set accordingly. All right? Are there any questions? Maybe one last question? Or if you don't want to type, you want to unmute yourself, it's fine too. No? Okay, if not, then I'm going to share with you my screen again for upcoming webinars. So once more, here are organ method books which you can use if you're interested. If you're a pianist and you would want to try on the organ, here are organ method books. You can look them up at IMSLP, I've already included it here. And hymns if you need to, hymnary.org. So pictures in this presentation were all provided by the Allen organs were provided by the Allen Organ Company, and the rest of the pictures were taken by Alphonsus. Now the pipe diagrams were from this book. These hymns and pieces here are what you heard in the videos. Right, and then of course here resources for organists. These are webinars that were past webinars by the Methodist School of Music, so you can click on the link and watch them again. Yeah, I believe we will be able to send you the PDF so you can see it at your own time. All right, now the next up would be this, Introduction to Organ Playing, Part 2A, Hymn Playing Basics by Dr. Evelyn Lim. Okay, and yep, that's the end. Thank you for joining us today. I will stay on if you have any more questions. I think I see some other questions. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Any of you have any questions? Yeah, just unmute and just ask. Yeah. Yeah, if not, you can leave the meeting. Yeah. Okay, I think can.